Good afternoon, YouTube. This is my 10-minute solid edge challenge. I want to model a bracket for a clamp to hold up a table light in 10 minutes or less. And this is the model that I've decided to create. So it's got some bumps on it, it's got a little bit of a curve in it, and it's got a big hole for an 8mm metal post. So we're going to try and model this sucker up in 10 minutes. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with a cylinder today, and I'm going to make this diameter 8 to represent the rod that I'm trying to model around. And that's just so that I have it as a placeholder and remember what I'm working with. So 8mm, boom, and I'm going to make it 10mm high. Let's just type in 10 here. You know what? I think that's just a little bit too low. Maybe I'll make it a little larger. So I'm going to select Design Body 1, rename it as Rod, and then I'm going to go and just add a little bit extra more height. Oh, Design Body selected. Let's grab the top surface, and there we go. Type in 10, and there we have it. Now it's 20mm high. All right, now I want to add a second Design Body. And I'm going to put in a box. And the idea with this box is it's going to have a 5cm or a 5cm footprint that I'm using to clamp to the table, but I also want to have it off center to my rod here because I want it to actually be on the table. So we'll line it up on center, type in 50, and realize that this is really quite huge when I'm zoomed in like this. So back it off and just take a look at it. All right, I think I want the 50 by 50 plate to not be on top of the rod. So I'm going to just select Design Body 2, drag it over, and I'm going to use something very important in this particular step. I'm going to decide to lock my dimensions. So in Solid Edge, I have two types of dimensions. I have unlocked and locked dimensions. The unlocked dimensions, if I move geometry, the dimension changes. It's really easy to work with. But a locked dimension will force the geometry to be a specific distance or size. So here's my lock feature. And I've had some experiences where I change one thing and another thing changes. So this was originally 50 and now it's 49.26. I'm just going to come in, type in 50. Boom, force it out. But I think I definitely want it locked so it doesn't actually get changed in the future. Key thing here to note is that there is a difference in the color. Unlocked dimensions are blue, locked dimensions are red. I now want to try and think about how am I going to put a body around the post or the rod and connect it up to my square or rectangle here. So what I've done is I drew on the plane and I created a square, a couple of triangles, and now I'm going to extrude them. But as I look at this, I'm realizing, hold it, you know what? I didn't actually put any feature around that circle in the center. So I'm going to just add a circle in there, and that's going to let me select things without actually filling in the hole. So 1, 2, 3, and that hole is still visible. All right, I'm going to now extrude this by 10mm. And so now I have this cool shape. And in Solid Edge, honestly, a lot of it's fake it till you make it. You draw one piece, you add another piece, you add another piece, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, pretty much got what I want. All right, so now what I'm thinking here is that I want some sort of curve or circle in this corner because right angle corners have a lot of stress in them. And, there's going to be a point where it'll break. So I'm hoping that if I throw in a circle, no scientific evidence here, but for throwing a circle, maybe I'll be able to reduce the stress moment right on the corner. And I'm expecting this is going to get a lot of stress because I'll probably screw it down as tight as possible. So to do this, we are using the move command, and this is a 2D operation. And what it is, I selected the edge of the circle and dragged it to the edge of this face. Now I'm going to just extrude the half circle and give myself a little notch. That's cool. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to just grab those faces that I did before, and I'm going to go up 10 millimeters. The reason I want to do this is because I want a face to touch the side of the table edge or shelf edge that I'm going to rest this on. In the past with this lamp bracket, I've always had a problem that it spins. And all of a sudden I'll be working along and it'll have twisted out of place and the lamp falls on me. It's actually pretty funny. So that's why that's there. Now the next piece I want to put in is I want to find the center-ish of this surface because I'm going to add in a bunch of dots. I want it to be rough. I want it to grip into an object. And in fact, when I 3D printed this object, it was really, really rough. So I've been very successful at this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a whole bunch of little tiny spheres on the surface and make a pattern out of them. So I'm going to draw as a new design body a 1 millimeter sphere. And I've got it on the ball design body, and now I'm going to select it. Good that the rectangular pattern is visible. And I'm going to choose a plane for it to be on. Now it comes back as 8.5 millimeters by 4.7. This is too small. So I'm going to crank it up to 20 and 40. I'm just testing it out. I'm going to go through a lot of iterations here. But the thing that you need to see is this thing that says pattern face flash clash detected. I'm just having a lot of problems with this command because I've got too much stuff in it. And so now that I've expanded it out and made it 20, it's dropped the number of objects, but also expanded out the area, now it's working. So I've got 40 millimeters by 40 millimeters. I'm going to just spread them out just a little bit more, and 48 by 15, maybe? Let's see. See if I can recenter this. So pressing C again, just to see if I can make this work. All right, there's not a bad thing, about 48 millimeters by 40 millimeters, and change the count to 15 by 15, just to get rid of those errors I was encountering with objects clashing. Doing the center again, and looking at it and thinking, okay, if I bring in just a little more, so 38, everything fits on the face. This seemed to work. I don't see any error messages or warning messages yet. And bang. All right, so 15 by 15 pattern. There's all the spheres. We have about 2 minutes left, and I'm going to just quickly put the design body and the balls together. Now, I realized well after the fact that I wanted to apply a thin wall condition to this object, and it would not work. And what I realized is I should have applied a thin wall to the design body too before I merged the design body 2 and the balls. I also am deleting the rod feature because I'm not going to need it when I'm 3D printing, and it's just going to get in the way. So merging the two bodies, I'm going to go do a union operation. Now I've created a really complicated object, but there it's done. Wait a second. Okay, there we go. So there it's done. Now, last kind of piece, drag it into the 3D print command, look at it, and make sure it looks like what I'm expecting. There's no weird pieces. Export it to a 3MF and import it into Prusa Slicer. Quickly slice it up. This took a lot longer in practice, but I wanted to show you the final result. This has this internal slicing. You can actually see what the red pattern is and how it's just going to be a regular kind of rectangle inside. There are a number of other slicing patterns you can choose, but this is the one I wanted. So have fun. Thank you for watching.